It's rare that there is a complete paradigm shift in some sort of product. And I feel like that has happened recently in 3D printers. We recently purchased a printer that 2 days ago Mike is about to tell you about that is extremely impressive. I think it changes the game for good on what 3D printers are going to look like, both in the kind of more commercial side of what we do, as well as the enthusiast side of what enthusiasts do. But let me tell you about it. It's really interesting. Hope you guys like the video. Both Isaac and I have been 3D printing for a long time. We both started off about 10 years ago building printers, from scratch by ourselves. I started way back when on an ANET A8, and Isaac built himself a printer shortly after that, completely from scratch. And we've had 3D printers of all sorts since then, mostly FDM printers, but we pretty quickly upgraded to SLA, and we now have a ton of SLA printers in our shop. These are the ones we primarily work with. They've been really good. We've, had more over the time. We got the Photon Mono X first, 6 years ago or something. And then we got the 6K, and then shortly after we got the 6KS because we just were using them so much that we needed overflow space, basically. But for a while, we haven't had an FDM printer just because the resins are so good, and most of the time, with the good enough quality resin, we have this ABS resin we print in, the parts just come out really solid. And we had a Creality CR10 V2 that we used for a long time. And that just started, I feel like I printed kilometers worth of filament on that thing. So that it just kind of fell apart over time. Since then, we've been thinking about getting a new 3D printer, and what do we get? And Isaac approached me, 2 months ago now and said, oh, well, I think we should really look at the Bambu Labs X1 Carbon. And he told me about it, and I was like, wow, that sounds awesome. And we looked at how much it was, and I was like, oh my God, that's so expensive. Because, man, they are really expensive. Long story short, we got one. It is so impressive where printers have come and what consumer-grade printers can do now. I've been printing on everything from something like an ANET to Creality things to Prusas to the $300,000 commercial grade printers that my school had when I was doing my engineering. The abilities that it has to compensate for anything that could go wrong. It basically takes all of the effort and all of the gained knowledge that Isaac and I have gained over the past 7 years, 8 years. It's taken all that knowledge that we've learned about how to properly run a 3D printer and how to get reliable, smooth prints. It does it all automatically now. We didn't need to know all that information because it's so good. It has laser scanning. It has, IR cameras and normal cameras that look at how the print's going down to double check that everything is going down as it should. It'll calibrate the flow based on scanning the first layer to see how it went down. It does all sorts of crazy stuff. In addition to that, it prints like 3 or 4 times faster than a good fast like Prusa or something. It's ridiculous. It's so unbelievably impressive. We started to use this printer on our projects that we have going on around the shop. It takes it from something that I would be like, I really don't want to have to wait 3 hours for this thing to print, where if we print it on this printer, it's going to take 30 minutes. So all of a sudden, any little project that we just want to quickly prototype is boom, there. Instead of taking all day to prototype something, it just takes literally half an hour. We just built out our office, so we have things like this that we made for our light switches. You'll see in our next video, we have a little project going on over there with our little motive dollhouse. It's expensive, so it's hard to recommend to people, but I can't really see how, for the money, you can get a better product in the 3D printing space. I've used a lot of 3D printers. Isaac's used a lot of 3D printers. We both built and fixed a lot of 3D printers, and everything that we've learned and taught us has shown us how impressive this bit of technology is. So all in all though, thanks for checking in. Really cool 3D printer. Talk to you guys later.